Welcome to Christchurch City Library's online family history and research topics series. In this presentation, we're going to look at getting started with your family history from home and how you can record your information using free charts. We will also look at some starting resources to use for your research at home. There are, of course, a huge number of options to choose from when recording your family history. Shown here are some examples of family trees. There are also many decisions to make about what you want to record. We have looked at a number of things you might want to consider before you start. Firstly, who you want to record. A family tree or pedigree chart will record your direct relatives only. What information do you have already, and what do you need to still find? What photographs have you got? How private do you want to keep it? A handwritten family tree is very private compared to joining Ancestry or Family Search and having your tree discoverable by other users and members. The options for the presentation of your family history are numerous, from a physical document in a file to databases, social media, movies and scrapbooks. You need to think about what works for you and for those who you want to share it with. Always remember to note down your sources as you start recording information, as you're not going to remember where you got all that information from later on. Christchurch City Libraries have quite a few family histories in our collection. It's always helpful if someone has already been researching your family for you, although make sure you check all their sources. And a plug for the library. If you do publish your family history, the library is always interested in local donations. Let's just keep it simple and start with a couple of charts. Who knows where that will lead? We're going to show you a couple of simple, freely available charts and forms that you can use to get started. First of all, from Ancestry.com, charts and forms. You can get this for free by accessing Ancestry from Family History PCs at the library, or just by Googling Ancestry.com, charts and forms, and downloading the forms you want. You do not need to log in to use these charts. There are other good places to access charts, such as the New Zealand Society of Genealogists website. We show here how to find forms and charts on their website and what the charts they offer can be used for. And now let's get started. How do we fill in our charts? The person you know the most about in your family is you, so in our chart we will start with ourselves. We would then add our parents and their parents. Put in everything you know so far. Be systematic. Keep parents in the same order, such as father then mother or vice versa. Put down the sources used if you know them as you go. Note that this simple family tree can continue on more charts, so you can record on the chart which chart to go to in order to continue that family line. The reason we want to keep people in a systematic order is so we can see at a glance your father's or your mother's direct lines. Also, online genealogy software and databases record generations systematically, so it's easier for subsequent users. Here is an example of my family trees. I started with each of my 4 grandparents, and then I went back in each of their lines. You can see that things were recorded at different times, and there is still a lot missing. Starting in pencil is a good idea, and note that charts are always evolving, like this Ancestry update. Online versions for the big genealogy companies do look more pristine. This one is from MyHeritage, which I was subscribed to. Family Search is a free option where you can create your family tree if you register. And there are different presentation options, such as a fan chart. If you have adopted family members, you may want to indicate this on your chart, or use different colours, or do separate charts for your adoptive and birth families. The family group chart can be used to record each group or family. In the example shown, my great-great-grandparents are shown with their 5 children. Only one of the 5 children is my direct descendant, William Robert, but he had 4 sisters, so this chart shows all siblings and who they married. In this way, you can keep your family tree simple and flesh out your family information using a family group chart. These charts are also available through Ancestry and the New Zealand Society of Genealogists. Online databases can include all your cousins and extended family. Shown here is my family view on MyHeritage, with the same family group as on the previous chart. Now that we have the chart started, let's do some research. Before you start with online resources, remember to check with what your family can tell you. It is time to listen to all those stories your granny wants to tell you, and to unpack that trunk in the attic with all the family papers and photos. And let's hope the photos have all the names and dates on the back to help you. Now that we have the chart started, let's do some research. But where do we start? The best place to start is Christchurch City Library's website. Go to Explore Family History and see the guides we have on offer to get you started. For example, the Beginner's Guide will help you find where to look for different information. There's births and deaths, shipping information, and so much more. The next place to look for information about your family is in newspapers. Christchurch City Libraries have the local newspapers on microfilm, but many New Zealand newspapers have been digitised by the National Library and made available on Papers Past. Papers Past is an online digitised collection of New Zealand information from newspapers, magazines and journals, letters and diaries, parliamentary papers and books. The help pages give you guidance in searching, which can be very helpful as names can be recorded in a number of different ways and spellings, such as Mrs. Jane Smith, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. J. Smith, or even Mrs. John Smith, with John as her husband. Remember, newspapers give you much more information than just births, deaths, and marriages. Filters work well in Papers Past. You can define the area or specific newspapers and date ranges. Here are some examples of the coverage of newspapers and the sort of information you can find. Everything was reported, from lists of some of the people arriving by ship to descriptions of private gatherings, what people wore, school prizes, descriptions of divorce cases. Yes, the one we've already looked at is covered in detail, and so much more. So here we are. Choose your forms and talk to your family and start your family tree. Thank you for joining us at Christchurch City Libraries.